Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of data centers.
Those buildings we always hear about but never really think about.
Exactly. They're essential but mysterious. We've got two really interesting sources lined up for this deep dive. One breaks down data center real estate as an investment.
And the other lists the top public companies in the data center world.
Buckle up, because we're about to uncover some fascinating facts about data centers. Like, did you know there's a company out there that started by storing paper documents?
Like in caves?
Yeah. And now they're housing critical digital data. Plus, we'll look at how data centers are actually getting greener. So,
Let's unpack all of this, starting with the basics. What exactly is a data center, you might be wondering?
yeah, it's not exactly common knowledge.
Well, imagine a specialized building, kind of like a high-tech fortress.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And inside, it's packed with rows and rows of computer systems, servers, storage systems, networking equipment, basically everything you need to keep the digital world running.
So it's like the engine room of the internet.
Exactly. These data centers process and store massive amounts of data every second. And with cloud computing, streaming, online gaming, you name it.
Our reliance on data centers is just exploding
Precisely. And that's why data center real estate has become such a hot investment opportunity.
because there's so much demand for space to store all this data.
You got it. It's like the digital gold rush.
So how can someone invest in data centers? It can't be as simple as just buying a building.
You're right. It's a bit more nuanced than that. You could acquire an existing data center, develop a new one from scratch, or even look into REITs.
REITs, could you break that down for us?
Sure, REITs or real estate investment trust are like a way to pool your money with other investors to buy and manage data center properties. So you can get a slice of the action without the hassle of owning the whole thing.
Interesting. So no matter how you choose to invest, what are the key things to consider when it comes to data center real estate?
Location is absolutely crucial. Think proximity to major population centers, reliable power sources, favorable regulations. It's not just about finding any old building and sticking servers in it.
Right, like you wouldn't build a data center in the middle of the desert where the power grid is shaky.
Exactly. And speaking of important considerations, tenant quality is another big one.
Makes sense. You want stable, long-term tenants who are going to keep those servers humming and the revenue flowing.
Absolutely. Think cloud providers, telecom giants, major enterprises. It's like choosing roommates. You want reliable ones who pay their rent on time.
Definitely. No one wants a data center full of flaky tenants.
And to make sure those servers keep humming, you need top-notch infrastructure. Redundant power systems, robust cooling equipment, tight security measures, high-speed connectivity. It's not just about owning a building. You need to understand the technology behind it, too.
It's a whole ecosystem, isn't it?
Precisely. And don't forget about lease terms. Long-term leases with built-in rent increases are really attractive to investors seeking stable and predictable income.
It's all about that steady cash flow, especially in a world where things change so quickly. But with all this talk about opportunity, there must be some risks to consider too, right? I mean, technology moves at breakneck speed, competition is fierce.
You're absolutely right. Technology obsolescence is a major concern.
Yeah.
What's cutting edge today could be outdated tomorrow.
Like investing in a flip phone factory right before smartphones took over.
Exactly. Plus, there's the potential for disruptions. Natural disasters, cyber attacks, power outages. These can all have a huge impact.
So due diligence is key here. Investors need to really do their homework.
Absolutely. Thoroughly assess the market, understand the technology, and it's essential to work with industry experts to navigate all these complexities.
Because this isn't something you can just figure out on your own, right?
Right. And now, while we're on the topic of industry expertise, let's move on to the companies that are shaping the data center landscape. Our source lists some of the biggest publicly traded players in this space.
Let's meet those data center titans then. I'm really curious to learn about the companies behind the technology we use every day.
All right, well, our list starts with two heavyweights, Equinix and Digital Realty. They're the giants of the data center world.
Okay, bring on the heavyweights. What makes them stand out?
Well, Equinix, which trades under the ticker symbol EQIX, has a global footprint, like over 240 data centers in 27 countries. They offer a range of services, everything from colocation and interconnection solutions to data center management.
Wow, 240 data centers. So they're like a global platform for businesses to connect.
That's the idea. They're all about facilitating global connectivity. And then we have Digital Realty, or DLR, another powerhouse. They operate more than 290 data centers across North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. They provide a variety of solutions, including wholesale data center space, colocation, and cloud services. They cater to everyone, from small businesses to Fortune 500 companies.
So both Equinix and Digital Realty have a truly global presence and a wide range of services. Sounds like they've got all the bases covered. What about some of the other companies on our list? What makes them unique?
Well, let's take CyrusSend, for example. They trade under Cone, and their specialty is high-availability data center services.
High availability, meaning?
Basically, they're masters of keeping servers up and running 24/7, minimizing any downtime. They work mainly with large enterprises and have a strong presence in North America and Europe.
That 24/7 uptime is critical, especially for businesses in finance or healthcare where every second counts.
You're absolutely right. And now, for a company with a really interesting story, remember that company we talked about earlier, the one that went from storing paper documents in caves to housing digital data?
Oh, yeah. Iron Mountain. It's incredible how they evolved.
It is. They trade under IRM. They took their expertise in secure storage and became a major player in the data center world. They offer colocation services with a strong emphasis on security and compliance.
It makes you wonder how their experience with physical security translated to the digital world. Were there any challenges?
Oh, definitely. It wasn't a seamless transition. Moving from physical to digital security requires a different approach.
A whole new set of skills, probably.
Exactly. Iron Mountain had to adapt their expertise to address cybersecurity threats and data breaches.
So it wasn't just about swapping paper for servers. They had to invest in new technology, build up their cybersecurity, maybe even change their company culture to focus on digital security.
Exactly. Their story highlights the importance of adaptability in a fast-paced industry.
It's a great lesson for anyone looking to invest in this space. Now, we talked about REITs earlier. Could we dive a bit deeper into those? What are the advantages and disadvantages of investing in a data center REIT versus buying a property outright?
Well, REITs allow you to diversify your portfolio and gain exposure to the data center sector without the headaches of direct ownership. You're basically handing over property management to the REIT, which is a big plus if you're not a real estate expert. But you do have less control over specific assets and strategies.
So, convenience versus control. Are there specific REITs that specialize in data centers?
Yes, some REITs are exclusively focused on data centers, while others might have a more diversified portfolio, including other types of commercial real estate.
Okay, got it. It's important to research a REIT's history, management team, and investment strategy before diving in.
Definitely.
So we have the industry giants, the specialized players, and the REITs. Seems like lots of options for investors interested in data center real estate. But before we jump ahead, let's get back to our list of companies. Who else should we be paying attention to?
Well, there's CoreSite Realty Corporation, trading under COR. They're a major player in the U.S., operating a network of data centers, providing colocation and interconnection services. They're known for reliability, scalability, and great customer service.
Reliability and customer focus are definitely important in this space. Who else is on our list?
We've got NTT Communications, part of the massive NTT Group. They have a global network of data centers offering various services, including managed services, hybrid cloud solutions, and even disaster recovery.
Disaster recovery, that sounds intense.
It is, but it's critical. Data loss can be devastating for businesses, so having a robust disaster recovery plan is essential. NTT Communications helps companies prepare for the worst-case scenario, ensuring they can recover data quickly and resume operations if disaster strikes.
So they're like the insurance policy of the data center world. Good to know. What about QTS Realty Trust? Their ticker symbol is QTS.
QTS is another big player with a focus on hybrid cloud and colocation services. They offer flexible data center options to meet a variety of client needs.
Hybrid cloud seems to be a hot topic these days. Is it about finding the right balance between cloud flexibility and on-premises security?
You got it. Many companies are going hybrid, and QTS is well-positioned to serve that market.
Makes sense. So we've covered Equinix, Digital Realty, CyrusZone, Iron Mountain, CoreSite, NTT Communications, and QTS. I'm noticing a trend here. Global reach, diverse service offerings, and a focus on adapting to client needs.
That's a keen observation.
Yeah.
These companies are constantly innovating to stay ahead of the curve. Speaking of innovation, we can't forget about Global Switch.
What makes Global Switch stand out?
They specialize in large-scale, carrier-neutral data centers. It's kind of like a shopping mall for data centers.
Oh, I get it. So they host servers from various companies, not just one specific telecommunications provider.
Exactly. Carrier-neutral means they offer more flexibility to their clients.
Gotcha. And they're mostly in Europe and Asia Pacific, right?
Right, and they really emphasize high security standards and operational efficiency. They focus on creating a super secure and reliable environment for their clients' data.
So they've got scale, flexibility, security, and efficiency. Sounds like a winning combination. Now let's not forget about the cloud giants. Alibaba Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, or AWS. I use their services constantly, but rarely think about the massive data center infrastructure behind it all.
Right, it's easy to take it for granted. But these companies have massive networks of data centers around the world to support their cloud platforms. Alibaba Cloud, for example, has a strong presence in Asia. They offer a wide range of cloud computing services, from basic data storage to advanced machine learning and big data solutions.
It's amazing how affordable and accessible they've made cloud computing. It used to seem like a futuristic concept, but now it's seamlessly integrated into our lives.
It really is a testament to their innovation and how technology transforms the way we live and work. Microsoft Azure is another dominant force in the cloud, with a global network of data centers supporting a wide range of services, like virtual machines, databases, and developer tools.
Microsoft has been a tech giant for ages. It's impressive how they've adapted to stay relevant.
Absolutely. And then there's Amazon Web Services, or AWS. They run one of the most extensive cloud infrastructures in the world, with data centers strategically placed everywhere. They offer a mind-blowing array of cloud services, covering pretty much everything from computing power to storage and databases.
AWS seems to be everywhere. I'm pretty sure almost every company I interact with uses them somehow. They've really set the standard for cloud computing.
They have. Their dominance in the market is undeniable. So we've covered a lot, from investment opportunities in data center real estate to the nuances of different types of data center properties, and we've highlighted the major public companies driving this industry.
It's clear that the data center industry is booming, fueled by our constant need for data and digital services, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon.
You're exactly right. As we rely more on digital technology, the need for data storage and processing will only grow. And this brings us to a fascinating aspect of the industry, the increasing focus on sustainability.
Oh, right. I read about that. Data centers use a ton of energy, so it makes sense that they're finding ways to reduce their environmental impact.
Exactly. And not just for ethical reasons, it's also good for managing costs.
Makes sense.
A lot of companies are investing in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power to power their data centers. They're also using energy-efficient designs and advanced cooling technologies to reduce their carbon footprint. It's about building smarter and greener data centers.
So it's a win-win. Companies can save money by being more energy efficient, and it shows their commitment to sustainability, which is important to investors and customers.
You got it. And as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on another trend: the growing use of advanced technologies like artificial intelligence or AI, machine learning, and edge computing.
Oh, wow, we're getting really high-tech now. I hear these buzzwords all the time, but I don't always grasp their practical applications. How are these technologies shaping the data center industry?
Well, AI and machine learning are being used to optimize data center operations in several ways. From managing energy consumption and predicting equipment failures to automating tasks and boosting security, AI is changing how data centers are run.
Wow, so AI is running the data centers themselves? That's pretty meta. And what about edge computing? How does that fit in?
Edge computing is a game changer. Instead of sending all data to a central data center for processing, edge computing brings the processing power closer to the source, like a smartphone or a sensor.
So it's about reducing lag and boosting speed by shrinking the distance data has to travel.
Precisely. It's like bringing the data center to the user.
That makes sense. And this opens up a whole world of possibilities, especially for things like the Internet of Things, where devices need to react instantly.
Exactly. It's a trend to watch. And as we wrap up our discussion of these public companies, it's clear that the data center industry is at the forefront of technological advancement, playing a crucial role in our increasingly digital world.
It's fascinating to see how these companies are adapting and evolving to meet the demands of the digital age.
It is. And it's exciting to think about what the future holds for this industry. It really is. And as for the future, well, we can't predict it exactly, but we can look at where things are heading. One of the big trends we're seeing is a shift towards hyperscale data centers.
Hyperscale data centers. That sounds intense.
They are, think massive, like hundreds of thousands of servers all under one roof.
Wow. So these are like the mega cities of the data center world.
Exactly. Companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they're all building these hyperscale facilities to support their cloud platforms and handle the ever-increasing demand for data storage and processing.
It makes sense. As our reliance on cloud computing grows, those companies need more and more capacity. But what about the smaller players? Can they compete with these giants?
It's definitely a challenge. But there are still opportunities for smaller data center providers to carve out a niche. They might focus on specific geographic markets, cater to specialized industries, or offer unique services that the hyperscale providers don't.
So specialization is key for those smaller players. It's about finding those gaps in the market and filling them. But going back to those hyperscale data centers, where are they usually located?
Well, location is critical for any data center, but especially for hyperscale facilities. They need access to reliable and affordable power, plenty of space to grow, and a favorable regulatory environment. You'll often find them in areas with cooler climates, which helps with cooling costs.
Makes sense. Running all these servers must generate a ton of heat. Speaking of which, we touched on sustainability earlier. How are data center companies addressing their environmental impact, especially these massive hyperscale facilities?
Sustainability is a huge focus for the industry. And it's not just about being eco-conscious, it's also good business sense. Reducing energy consumption means lower operating costs.
Right, a win-win. So how are they doing it?
Many companies are switching to renewable energy sources, like solar and wind power. They're also designing more energy-efficient buildings, using advanced cooling technologies, and even experimenting with things like liquid cooling to keep those servers from overheating.
Liquid cooling. That sounds pretty futuristic.
It is. It involves submerging servers in special, non-conductive liquids that efficiently dissipate heat.
Wow, I never knew that. So it's not just about the physical infrastructure, it's also about the way they operate, right?
Exactly. They're constantly finding ways to optimize their processes and use less energy. Some companies are even using artificial intelligence to monitor and manage their energy consumption in real time.
AI for energy management. That's amazing. It seems like the data center industry is embracing innovation on all fronts, from the physical design of the buildings to the way they use technology to operate more efficiently and sustainably.
You're absolutely right. And this constant innovation is what's driving the growth of the industry. And it's not just about meeting current demands, it's about anticipating future needs. Think about the rise of artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and all the data those technologies will generate.
That's going to be massive. So data center companies need to be ahead of the curve, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Precisely. And that's what makes this industry so exciting. It's at the forefront of technological advancement, and it plays a vital role in shaping our digital future.
It's incredible to think about the scale and complexity of it all. From the individual servers to the vast networks that connect them, it's a marvel of engineering and innovation.
It truly is. And as we become more reliant on data and digital technologies, data centers will only become more critical to our daily lives.
They're the unsung heroes of the digital age. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? We've touched on the environmental impact, but are there other concerns we should be thinking about?
That's a great question. And yes, there are. One of the biggest concerns is data security. These facilities house massive amounts of sensitive information, so they're prime targets for cyber attacks.
It's scary to think what could happen if a major data center were to be compromised.
It would be devastating. That's why security is paramount. Companies invest heavily in cybersecurity measures, including firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and multi-factor authentication. And physical security is crucial too, with layers of protection to prevent unauthorized access.
It's like Fort Knox for data. But even with all these security measures, there's always the risk of human error, right?
You're right. Human error is one of the weakest links in any security system. That's why it's so important for companies to have robust security protocols and train their employees thoroughly. They also need to be prepared to respond quickly and effectively if a breach does occur.
Makes sense. Prevention is key, but so is having a solid plan in place for when things go wrong. It's like having a fire escape route for your data.
Exactly. And beyond cybersecurity, there are other concerns, like data privacy. As more of our personal information is stored in the cloud, it's essential to have clear regulations and policies in place to protect our privacy rights.
That's a huge issue. especially with the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning. How do we ensure that these technologies are used ethically and responsibly and that our data is not misused?
Those are tough questions. And there are no easy answers. It's an ongoing conversation, and it's one that we need to have as a society. We need to find the right balance between innovation and responsibility, between harnessing the power of data while also safeguarding our privacy and security.
It's a complex challenge, but it's one that we can't afford to ignore. Data centers are essential to our modern world, but we need to make sure that they're built and operated with the highest ethical and security standards in mind.
I agree. And that's why it's so important to have open and honest conversations about these issues. We need to educate ourselves about the risks and challenges, and we need to demand transparency and accountability from the companies that hold our data.
Knowledge is power. And the more we understand about data centers, the better equipped we'll be to make informed decisions about our digital lives.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves as consumers and citizens to advocate for a safer and more responsible digital world.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the world of data centers. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of data center real estate to the cutting-edge technologies that are shaping the industry. And we've touched on some of the important ethical and security considerations that we all need to be thinking about.
It's been a great conversation, and I hope our listeners have gained a deeper appreciation for the vital role that data centers play in our modern world.
I agree. And maybe even spark some curiosity to learn more about this fascinating industry. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to thank our listeners for joining us on this journey.
And we encourage you to continue exploring, learning, and asking those tough questions about our digital future.
Wow, what a journey it's been exploring the world of data centers. We've covered so much, from investment strategies to the companies leading the way. What do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners, especially those who might be interested in data center investing?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that the data center industry is incredibly dynamic and full of potential, driven by our insatiable need for data and the technologies that rely on it.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about that massive infrastructure humming away in the background, powering all our online activity. And we've seen there are different ways to get involved, whether through direct investment, REITs, or even the stock market.
Exactly. But like any investment, it's crucial to do your research, understand the risks, and think about your financial goals.
It's not something to jump into blindly.
Right. Due diligence is essential. It's not just about picking a company and hoping for the best. Investors need to understand the factors driving data center real estate value, such as location, tenants, infrastructure, and lease terms.
It's more complicated than just buying any old building.
And of course, they need to be aware of the potential risks, things like technology becoming outdated and the threat of disruptions from natural disasters or cyber attacks.
So it's not for the risk averse. But for those who are willing to do their homework and stay informed about the industry's trends, data center investing could offer some amazing opportunities.
I agree. And it's important to remember that this isn't a stagnant industry. It's constantly evolving, driven by technological advancements and changing market demands, like we talked about with edge computing.
Right. That trend is likely to reshape the data center landscape in the coming years, impacting investment strategies and creating new opportunities.
Exactly. It's not just about building bigger data centers anymore. It's about adapting to new technologies and finding innovative ways to handle the growing demand for data storage and processing. And of course, there's that increasing focus on sustainability in the industry.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. As we become more aware of the environmental impact of our digital lives, data center companies are stepping up, investing in renewable energy sources, energy-efficient designs, and advanced cooling technologies.
Exactly. It's not just about being eco-friendly, it also makes good business sense. Reducing energy consumption means lower operating costs.
It's a win-win situation for everyone, and it shows that the industry is being responsible. So for our listeners who are now feeling inspired by all this data center knowledge, where can they go to learn more?
Well, there's a ton of information online. The company websites we discussed are a great starting point. They often have investor relations sections with details about their financials, strategies, and sustainability initiatives.
Right. And beyond that, there are tons of industry publications and research reports that go deeper into market trends, new technologies, and investment opportunities.
And don't underestimate the power of networking. Industry events and connecting with experts can offer insights you won't find online.
Great advice. So to wrap it all up, the data center industry is a vibrant and evolving space with huge potential. But it's not a passive investment. It requires thorough research, due diligence, and a willingness to stay informed.
Exactly. The more you understand about our digital world, the better prepared you'll be to navigate data center investing and make informed decisions.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring this world. We've covered so much today, from the basics of data center real estate to those cutting-edge technologies that are shaping the industry.
We even touched on some of those vital ethical and security considerations that we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely. Thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of data centers. We hope you learned something new and gained a better understanding of the infrastructure that powers our digital lives.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, stay curious.